Today, I want to really talk about the deadly effects of vitamin D deficiency on our health. Are you at risk? Are you taking vitamin D? And if so, are you sure you're taking the right dose? For a long time now, I've really wanted to talk about something that affects many of us, especially those of us with darker skin living in the West, vitamin D. Or more accurately, what is often considered as a hormone because of the way it acts in our bodies. While many of us know that vitamin D is important for healthy bones, it actually has far-reaching impacts on our overall health. Nearly every cell in our body has receptors for vitamin D, which influence a wide range of processes too, including immune function, inflammation regulation, and cell growth. So why is it so important, especially for black and brown people? People with darker skin, such as black and brown individuals, produce significantly less vitamin D from sunlight due to the higher levels of melanin, which reduces the skin's ability to synthesize vitamin D. This means we require more sun exposure to produce the same amount of vitamin D as lighter skinned individuals. For those living in the West, where sunshine is limited, especially in the winter, and also for those in hot countries who avoid direct exposure to the sun, maintaining adequate vitamin D levels becomes even more challenging. During the summer, you need at least 20 minutes of sun exposure with bare arms and legs for sufficient vitamin D production, and for black and brown people, it can take even longer. This exposure needs to be consistent year-round, including in the colder months. Studies show that black people can produce 50 to 90% less vitamin D under the same conditions as white individuals, making it crucial for black and brown people to be mindful of their vitamin D levels, especially in regions with limited sunlight. For example, after the same duration of sun exposure, a white person may produce about 10 to 20,000 units of vitamin D within 30 minutes to an hour of full body exposure to the sun. A black person might produce much less, sometimes as little as 1,000 to 4,000 international units in the same time frame. There's many common misconceptions about vitamin D. When I speak to people, they often tell me they're taking vitamin D supplements. However, most of the time, they're only taking tiny doses that won't make much of a difference. Others say they're getting enough from being outside, but unless you are getting consistent exposure to sunlight, especially with bare arms and legs, and for at least 20 minutes a day, and when the sun is high enough in the sky all year round, it's unlikely you're producing enough vitamin D. Vitamin D plays a key role in immune function, and low levels have been linked to several health conditions like diabetes, certain cancers, autoimmune diseases, and many more. If you're deficient in vitamin D, it can make any condition you have worse. Studies also found that low vitamin D levels in black and brown communities were linked to higher death rates during the pandemic, as they were more likely to have deficiency due to less sunlight absorption. So pause the video here to take a look at some of the conditions associated with vitamin D deficiency. Now, let's talk about magnesium and vitamin D. To add to this complication, you need sufficient levels of magnesium to metabolize the vitamin D properly. This is an important factor that many people overlook. Many of us suffer from magnesium deficiency already, as the food we eat is depleting magnesium because of the way it is farmed. I'll cover magnesium in more detail in a separate video, but it's worth noting that if you're not eating enough, or if you're not getting enough magnesium, your body may not be able to use the vitamin D you're taking adequately. Now, being overweight and vitamin D. Another important point is if you are carrying extra body fat, you might need an even higher dose of vitamin D, because vitamin D is fat soluble, meaning that it can get stored in the fat tissue and may not be as readily available to your body. So, real life experiences with vitamin D. Sadly, with vitamin D deficiency. Sadly, I've seen firsthand a serious impact of vitamin D deficiency. For instance, a young person I know was diagnosed with vitamin D deficiency but chose not to take supplements. Later, they were moved into a flat that had a mold problem, which led to repeated cold infections. Sadly, later they were diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and their consultant believed that the diabetes was likely triggered by those cold infections. Infections that might have been prevented with adequate vitamin D levels. Another tragic case involved a black family from North London who lost a child to heart complications linked to vitamin D deficiency. When doctors tested the mother and the child's toddler sibling, both were found to be deficient, with the sibling already showing similar symptoms. Fortunately, after correcting their levels, the siblings' health stabilized. At the time, I collaborated with our public health department to train midwives and health visitors on the importance of educating families with young children about vitamin D. So, vitamin D deficiencies can have severe consequences, and a deficiency in one family member often signals the need to check the whole family. So what can you do about this? Start with the maximum NHS recommended dose of 4,000 international units of vitamin D daily, though some people may need more. I provide guidance on the right dose, especially if you're aiming to reverse long-term conditions or reduce your reliance on medications. For more details on how I can help you achieve this, visit my website or reach out through the link below. I hope this video has made a positive impact. References are in the notes below. Thank you for watching. Like, follow and share. See you in the next one.